with like a lot of memes.
Those are good memes.
This year was just memes.
Thoughtful banter. Sometimes thoughtful, mostly banter. All the memes.
You ready to start?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Peace be upon you. Thank you for watching or listening. This is episode 3 of the Thoughtful Banter podcast. So first and foremost, I'm very excited to announce that we're on Spotify. If you're listening to this on Spotify, that's what's popping. But I'm your host, Matty. I'm right here with my co-host, Hussein.
Yes, we love you guys. Thank you guys for all your support. Again, didn't expect all the support we're getting, but I'm glad you guys are giving it to us.
You gotta stop being surprised, bro. You gotta expect the support.
It'll probably never stop surprising.
Mashallah. No, we always try to stay grateful. And we actually asked the people on Instagram what they want us to cover because no one wants to listen to two single dudes back to back talking about how to get a wife.
Back to back.
How to get married. So, that's annoying for us as well. Hussein was telling me, like, bro, if I have another episode, I'm going to talking about marriage. I'm not going to do that podcast anymore. I'm tired of this. So, let's talk about something else. So we asked the people on Instagram, and one person said something that caught our attention. Mm-hmm. The topic was how to find out what you're passionate about. And I thought this stood out to both of us because Hussein and I have both probably put in individually like 100 hours minimum of like trying to. You put in more hours.
Probably a lot more.
Probably
a lot more than 100 hours.
We've both put in a lot of time into experimenting and trying to find out what our passions are. Mm-hmm. So without further ado, Hussein, would you like to start?
Yeah. I mean, again, this is not like a comprehensive instructional about how to find your passion, but we're just going to talk about some of our experiences and how we went about finding our passions and maybe more into the philosophy of a passion and whether it's worth pursuing anyways. But we'll get into that a little bit later.
Deep.
That'll be some of the thought, less of the banter.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so just personally speaking, I know for me, basically, what I did was I tried a little bit of everything. I literally dabbled everywhere. Started flipping burgers, started volunteering at a fire department, thought about becoming a firefighter full time.
I remember that. You were really on that path for a little bit there. Yeah,
it's a pretty good career. I'm not discouraging anyone who wants to do that. I think there are a lot of benefits to it. But anyways, found out that wasn't for me. Went to school, started studying first I wanted to become a doctor. Then I became a nurse practitioner, then it became a physician's assistant. Now I'm studying language. I'm studying Arabic and philosophy, and I'm trying to go to law school. So yeah,
do thinking for a living, huh?
So yeah, I'm trying to do thinking for a living. But basically all those different experiences gave me the opportunity to narrow down what I like to do by eliminating the things that I knew I didn't want to do, because some of the things I did absolutely sucked. And then it also allowed me to speak with a lot of different people and hear a lot of different perspectives, and again kind of get a sense of where I didn't want to be in life. No offense to any of my past coworkers, but that's just what it is.
Yeah, I think one thing you said there before I go into like my side of the story, because you started off like saying flipping burgers, and that made me think. I mean, we both had like incredibly rough jobs before.
Yeah.
You know what job is rough when like you look around, like people around you, like, how do I say, like they're like you're working like with a lot of immigrants, because basically the job is just
wow.
What?
Continue.
I mean, no, it's like they take advantage of people. It's like they know people who don't have an education need a job, so they're gonna give you the job, but they're not gonna pay you as much. It's like when you have those kinds of jobs, it's definitely very enlightening, because it's like, dude, I can't be doing this for the rest of my life. And I think what's worth mentioning is if you're someone like if you're trying to figure out what you're trying to do, a good place to start is not try to figure out what you do want to do, but learn what you can never see yourself doing, what you hate to do.
Absolutely.
Process of elimination.
Yeah.
Like if you can't find out what you want to do, don't say something dumb. I don't mean to be rude, but I think it's kind of dumb to be like, oh, I have no idea. Okay, do you have no idea? Like, you should know whether or not you want to flip burgers or not, right?
Yeah.
So if you have like a job at McDonald's and you hate that, okay, at least you know you don't want to do that for the rest of your life. My story is a little bit different. Hussein was a lot more, I would say, productive than me in his teen years. He was doing a lot of experimenting and going out and about. And I think my journey was like more based around thinking. Like I had to like do like a lot of self-analysis to figure out what I wanted to do. And I also experimented here and there. But I feel like earlier on, I kind of knew what I wanted to do sooner. closer to the mic. I always knew like what I wanted to do sooner because this is why you're holding it. Give me a second.
Leaving that in there.
So like I've always been interested like in film and media. I just never knew how to monetize it. So I was doing that for like middle school and high school.
Yeah.
Everyone who's known me knows like
Mahdi Film.
Yeah, like everyone knows me like as a guy who's had like 12, 13 YouTube channels.
Yeah.
You know, like starting different things and dropping the ball so many different times. But like this has always been like my interest. But I have experimented here and there. So I think what I learned from my experience is you have to redefine. Wait, maybe I'm skipping ahead a little bit because I don't want to say my golden nugget before your golden nugget. So maybe let's go back to you. Like, what would your tip be? Like you said, you explained what you did, but what is your advice for someone who is trying to find out what their passion is?
So my advice for someone who's trying to find their passion, I guess would just to be, especially when you're young, and I'm still young.
Boomer alert.
Well, what I mean by young is I mean like 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
In that time where basically all you have is time. You don't really have a lot of responsibilities. You have some school, but let's be honest, high school is not that hard.
Yes.
Even college is not that hard. University is not that hard.
Speak for yourself, bro. That show was rough.
But anyways, especially when you have all that time, do a lot of different things. Try a lot of different things, even if it's not a job, because some people have reservations about working. We'll get into that a little bit later. Matty has a good story about that. But even if it's not necessarily a job, volunteer, put yourself in positions where you can grow, force yourself to grow, and then you'll also limit your passion, your options for a passion, because you'll know what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Like I got this job flipping burgers, and I knew I didn't want to spend the rest of my life there making $10.75 an hour.
Yeah.
That's just not what I wanted to do with my life.
Yeah. And I think that's, again, like that's important because a lot of people just only do research. But at the end of the day, like it's way easier to find out what you do not want to do than find out what you want to do. There's just too many options out there. But once you've tried like 4 different things out, you have a way better perspective. You know, like if you've had I think like what made me really, I've always kind of wanted to be my own boss, but like what really made me want to have like my own business is working really bad jobs. And I'm just like, this is not it.
I'm not getting paid enough for my time.
I'm not getting paid enough for my time at all. And like one time, like whenever like I'm doing these like really crappy jobs, I did the math once of like how much money I'm making the company one time, and it was like
versus how much you're making yourself. Yeah.
I was like, I'm making someone like, not just myself, but I'm making someone like thousands and thousands of dollars versus me, like as in like what I'm literally doing, right? So I would say for myself, like my personal advice would be to don't get caught up in finding your passion. Don't make that a life goal, because I think that's a trap. I think this whole idea of a passion, quote unquote, makes people waste a lot of time. And what I mean by that is like I've seen people who don't end up doing anything with their lives because they only want to do what they want to do. And that is a wrong way to live. Yeah. Because that's not the reality. You want to find something that fulfills you, that you're good at, but at the end of the day, if you only focus on what you want to do, you're probably never going to do anything. Yeah. I've worked with some people in some of my older, crappier jobs. I worked with some people who are like, this one guy, he was like 35. And he was working this job, and he just basically, I was asking about his life story. And he's like, oh man, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm passionate about. And he's 35. And he doesn't have his own place. He doesn't have a car. And I mean, I'm not judging him for being broke, but I am judging him for like not taking
the necessary steps to get your life together.
Get his life together. Like when you're 35, like when I'm 35, I think about myself. I want to have kids. Yeah, at 35. Definitely. I don't want to still try to be taking the metro because I have to take the metro. You know, like this concept of a passion has been sold to us, and I think it can really lead you down like a path of just being a loser, right? Because think about like this in life. You can never always be happy. And this idea of finding a job you're passionate about is connected to the idea of happiness. Yeah. And this idea of happiness is very fleeting. You know, you should be content in life, but happiness goes and comes. Like, I bet you Joe Rogan doesn't always every single day want to sit down
and record a podcast
for 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of work.
Oh.
Even this sometimes. Like, yesterday we recorded an entire 2 episodes yesterday. It was grueling work because we just got these new microphones. And we had to scrap the whole episode because Hussein's mic was echoing, right? It was like 2 hours and 30 minutes of
Something
total
like that.
work.
Yeah.
Right? I wasn't enjoying myself. Right? Were you enjoying yourself?
No.
But I'm still recording the podcast because I see the value in like the podcast. So that would be my advice. Don't focus on, I need to be passionate. Focus on, does this job, you said this yesterday, does this job match your life purpose?
Mm-hmm.
I think I want to give that to you.
Yeah.
I want to steal your point.
So I think, we mentioned this in the audio that is now ruined. But rather than, so Matthew kind of alluded to it, this concept of a passion is, I don't want to say it's a myth, but it's something that is like a mirage, really.
It's
like,
fleeting.
It's very fleeting. Something that starts out your passion may not end up being your passion. You might get it and be like, wow, this really sucks.
Yeah.
The idea of having a perfect job in general that offers you everything that you want is not something that's realistic. So instead of chasing for a specific passion, have a purpose, have a goal, like a big goal that you're aiming for. And then your passion, you can find your passion within that. Also, Mahdi said something about, and I'm going to pass the mic back to him, but he said something about anything can become your passion, you know? And I also want to stress that don't sacrifice fulfilling your responsibilities for finding your passion. And that's the trap that we often get stuck in.
It's a very big trap.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get trapped in. I think a lot of men get trapped into it. And I think I don't want to make this like a conversation like necessarily about gender. I don't want to make anyone isolated whenever they're listening to this. But I will say, like, I do personally believe that it's, you know, if we're talking from the perspective of Islam, it's a man's job to provide.
Yeah.
It's your job to provide, period. And I think that you, like, dude, like, if you want to, for example, be like a guitar player and like sing, you want to be like the next Justin Bieber, whatever, right? Like, that's okay. Do that on the side, record TikToks of you singing, but don't drop out of every single thing and leave school and don't work until you make it as a musician. Because I actually know somebody who who dropped out of high school because he thought he'd be like the next famous singer, and right now he's driving cabs. That's what he does. He's like 40. He's like in his 40s, and that's what he does. So dreams are dreams. Dreams are good, right? Like, I think you need a dream to live. I think if you just have your job and you don't have like any kind of like side dream, that's also a problem.
Yeah. Definitely.
But
everyone should have a side hustle, right?
You can't sacrifice your entire life for the dream. You have to be like 1 foot in order, 1 foot in chaos.
Okay, Jordan.
Jordan Peterson.
Okay, Jordan.
Sorry, what was your question? What do you want me to talk about?
No,
Anything
you mentioned
anything
can be your passion.
Okay. So what I mean by that is this, right? How do I say it in a good way? I think a good way to explain it is like, where it comes from in my mindset is like, don't limit yourself, right? Because in life, a lot of us can do almost anything. I mean, some people just are like, for example, like, I would not go to university and be like a mathematician.
Yeah.
Right? I think I could if I really wanted to, but I'd be like, it took me a lot longer to get there.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the natural strengths to get there, right? But the point is, I could. I think most people could do anything. But should you do anything? But that's besides the point. You can turn anything into your passion, right? Like, you don't have to just, I guess, be someone who just gets drawn to things by the whims of just, oh, it just happened. Like, you can, once you get into a skill, there's a like, the psychology of motivation is that whenever you see progress in something, you become motivated to do it, right? You don't be motivated to do something before you start doing it. For example, like losing weight. You don't get motivated when you just see your fat self.
Yeah.
But when you see your fat self losing like 0.2 pounds, that's when motivation starts.
So like your feelings follow your action.
Exactly. And that's the same thing when it comes to doing something and that thing becoming your passion. Maybe you don't like cybersecurity, right? Maybe you're studying cybersecurity, maybe you're studying law and you hate it because it's a boring job and it's not like you want to be like a famous YouTuber, right? So you hate this job. But then you put time into it, you see yourself getting better at that craft, you are going to become more passionate about it. I don't care what anyone says. There's a part of you that's going to be like, I'm good at this thing. I'm competent. Like competence makes you motivated to do something more because it raises your self-image, you know? And like as a person, I think James Clear talks about this in his book Atomic Habits. Your self-image is directly correlated with what you do. So whenever you do something, you're good at it. You think to yourself, like, if I make a good podcast episode, I think to myself, I'm good at making podcast episodes. I'm someone who makes good podcast episodes. I'm going to keep being that person. I'm going to keep reaffirming this identity. So it can happen with anything. Like if you want to be someone who goes to the gym, but you're not someone who goes to the gym. Once you start going to the gym, you start identifying with that person who goes to the gym. And then you have to reaffirm that identity. And it happens the same thing with negative personality identifiers as well.
Yeah. And I'd say that not everything, and we kind of mentioned this earlier, but not everything has to be binary or like, it's not, you can do one or the other, you know? I can pursue my education and then I can also have my side hustle of making a podcast on the side.
Exactly.
You know?
Let's say like 5 things right now.
And this is not even making us any money right now. It's making us $5 a month.
Yeah. Well, what is it like? Like, it's not even that after taxes. We're making both of us like less than $2 a month.
Yeah. Less than $2 a month. So this is not something that, you know, is even making me money, but it's something I like to do and I'm making time for it on the side of my studying and on the side of the job that I have. Yeah. You know, so there is room to have these hobbies. There's room to chase your passion, and not necessarily make money off of it. You know, you don't have to monetize your passion necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily. But I will say, like, if you can, always monetize anything you can, like, within reason.
I wouldn't even necessarily say that. Like, I know someone who's like very good at photography, for example, and he's like, I never want to make money off of this just because right now it gives me like relief. And if I feel like if I start making money off of it, it'll just give me stress.
I don't get that.
I don't really understand. I respect
that, but I don't get that.
I don't really understand it either. That's not how I am. I definitely prefer to make money off of something, especially if I'm good at it.
The money decrease stress, boy.
Rather than not. But not. You don't necessarily need to even monetize your passion. It can literally just be something that brings you stress relief.
But I think I don't know, like. I think we're like that would be helpful to a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people like you're saying things don't need to be binary. I think the problem for something that makes people feel like really sad is like just feeling trapped in life. I know at least in my personal experience, whenever I feel completely trapped, it just makes me feel like down. Like, oh, I have to do this no matter what. And I think one of our mentors have said this. Every man should have a side hustle, right? And like I think the value of that is you should be able to take care of yourself, basically, no matter what. If like worst case scenario, you lose your job, that's okay. You have another skill.
I mean, we've seen, like the past year, basically, all these different people have been laid off from their jobs. Yeah, you know,
and that's crazy. And just to think, like, if you have another skill, that might be able to, you know, not save your life, but like improve your life, prevent you from going through unnecessary pain, you and your family. Just think about like all the people who like invest in themselves on the side. You're just making yourself a better person. I mean, that's like, that is like the value of personal development. I know the personal development community has been like turned into a meme because people focus on dumb things. But I think essentially is like, if you get more skills in life, it's like playing an RPG game. You're getting new abilities. You can fight new opponents. You can
bigger bosses,
bigger bosses, or like attack situations from different angles. You know, like you are just a more multifaceted human being. Like I think, like look at this for example, right? Worst case scenario, we never make any money for the podcast, but I can at least put like on my resume that. I can put on my resume. I know sound design. So I do like 30 seconds on Audacity.
Yeah.
You know, like social media marketing. You know, like worst case scenario, we have some skills, we have some life experiences, or maybe we find out that we don't ever want to do podcasting again, so we can save time in the future. And you try to do a podcast with us? Like, no, bro. I hate podcasts.
I hate it. Yeah, and that's why I said again, experience, basically. Within like the bounds of Islam, obviously, but experience as much as you're able to experience.
Why are you so religious, bro?
As much as you're able to experience, because it'll give you a great idea. If nothing else, It'll give you a great idea of what you don't want to do, and that automatically starts narrowing your options.
Yeah. And I think a lot of guys are a lot of people just spend too much time at home. Right now it's COVID. But I think like maybe just not enough time, even at home, just not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
I've spoken to a lot of guys about that. I'm not just like saying this out of thin air. I've spoken to a lot of guys and they're just like, hey bro, what do I do? And they're just like, they ask me like, what do I do? And I'm like, what are you doing? And nothing much. What's your problem? Like, you can always do something, even if like you really enjoy playing video games. Nothing wrong playing video games. Download Unity. It's a free software. You can build a video game with that. You like games? Make a game. Like do something. So like there's so much you can do. In terms of finding your passion, you can intern, you can volunteer. We've both done like a lot of volunteering. But I think the biggest thing, and like this is something I saw you do when you're younger, you gotta be moving. You gotta always be active. Like this guy Hussein, mashallah, he was basically like always always tired. Which is, I heard someone say, like, one of our mentors, like, a man should always be like a little tired. You shouldn't be like napping in the middle of the day after getting 8 hours of sleep. You don't need beauty sleep, bro. All right? You need to look a little bit tired, you know? So like always be working. Like this guy was saying, was always either at school or working his job or doing like an internship or a volunteer work or something, or self-education on the side, studying Arabic, mashallah. So he's like, don't gas me up.
Exactly.
Don't gas me up. I'll gas you up, bro. You're killing it. But just be busy. I don't understand when guys are like not doing anything.
Yeah. So I think basically to sum up the discussion of finding your passion, one would be instead of maybe looking for a passion or like waiting for a passion to come to you, one, try to set up a framework, a purpose that will then give you like framework and give you structure of the type of things that you want to do in the future and you can see yourself doing in the future, right? So have that purpose first. Second, once you have that framework, start experimenting with whatever you've left available to yourself within that framework. Yeah. And then that will start slowly eliminating your options. And again, do this when you have time and when you're not working like full time or, and you have a family to support, because opportunities to do that, they might still be there, but they'll be a lot less.
You always have less time in the future.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
Life really only gets harder. Like that's the sad story. Like, but the idea is like, if you take advantage of the time you have right now, in the future, it won't seem as hard because you'll be prepared for that time.
Yeah.
That's why like journaling, I don't buy meditation. It's not that I don't buy it. Maybe I don't do it right. It doesn't benefit me. But journaling, for example, so many instances in my life, I gone through rough periods, but journaling helped me a lot. Just writing on a piece of paper, like, why am I unhappy with my life right now? Right? If you have a piece of paper and pen, you need this exercise, I would say, write out like how you're feeling. Why are you unhappy in your life? Write what you think you want, and write what can you do to get there. So I'll say, like, for example, maybe you don't have enough money. I think that's a legitimate complaint. If you are too poor or too broke, I would say, not poor. I don't know if you guys heard Dave Chappelle's opinion about that. But if you're too broke, for example, then, okay, how do I make more money? Right? Make a plan. Do something. Like, find like small incremental steps. I know for myself, like, as someone who has taken like an untraditional path in education, I was down bad. Like, all my friends are guys who are doing really well education wise, like people who like exceed in school, and that's the only people like I could be compared to by my parents. So I was like really insecure between like high school and like maybe like 20 to 19, right? I didn't know what I was going to do with my life, and I thought college was the only way. But I found out, okay, what do I need to do? I need to find out how I cannot be a bum, how I can be like someone who provides a service to society and gets paid a lot of money without going to school, because I don't want to go to school. So I realized, okay, you can pick up a trade. You can be like electrician, plumber, or you can go to IT. Like these are basically the only fields that you can teach yourself knowledge without going to school and then get paid 6 figures, and it works, right? But like you just have to figure out like what you want. For example, what I did was I realized I don't want to go to school because I don't want to get college debt. To me, like the first step of freedom, like, it's like financial freedom.
Yikes. Continue.
I knew you were gonna say yikes. Why is it yikes?
Continue.
Financial freedom. Let's break it down. Why is it yikes?
No, just continue.
Continue.
About
You want to
your
talk about it?
purpose. That's like a different podcast. Yeah.
I like that bag, bro. Money is not everything. I know his uncle Iro Hussein says, Matthew, you're always in your bag, bro. You in the world, bro.
You gotta chase the bag. Don't be in the bag.
Chase the bag. Don't be in the bag. SubhanAllah. Thank you, Sensei. No, like I wanted to I just didn't want to get into student loans, right? But there's a lot of options out there. So I just don't want anyone to be listening to this. I know I'm rambling, but I'll close it by saying I don't want anyone to listen to this and be bummed out because it hates school. If you hate school, my guy, you don't need to be in school. But don't be complaining. Either be in school or don't be in school. But no matter what, there's never an excuse to not have a plan.
Yeah.
Try to be figuring something
Completely agree. Never have a plan. And don't fall back on not having your passion as the reason you're not doing anything, because that will lead you to a life of inactivity. So I think the third thing, to kind of sum up, would probably be what Matty's point, which is anything can become your passion. And then finally, the last thing, like I just said, I'm going to repeat it again because I think this is very important for men, women, everyone listening to this podcast. Do not let you not finding your passion be a reason that your responsibilities are not fulfilled, because that is not an excuse.
It's not an excuse at all. And at the end of the day, the responsibility is providing.
Yes.
And that's the value of chasing the bag. Like, if you don't know your passion, get your money.
When you have a family and you have kids and they're hungry and then they're like, Dad, why am I hungry? And you said, oh, I'm sorry, son. I'm sorry.
I'm making TikToks.
I just didn't find my passion.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable.
Or again, just I've worked so many these jobs where I'm working around people who are in their 40s and 50s and they have to work that job and they have kids. And you can tell they don't really like their lives, right? They love their families, but it's they're not in those great situations. And obviously I'm speaking out of a place of privilege, of course. So I don't know everyone's full story, but some of the people I've talked to, I've realized that they just wasted a lot of time in their 20s and 30s.
When they were young, yeah.
When they're younger. Right now, if you have time to listen to this, you probably have a lot more time now than you will in the future. I don't know, your life might be rougher than ours, but you still got to get on it however you can. There's one more point I wanted to make about this. You were saying, don't use not having your passion as an excuse not to do anything. And this is a warning. This is really dangerous stuff. We know people, we see people who are even in our age who aren't doing anything. Didn't
have to do them like that, but anyways.
He or her do anything because they just don't know what their passion is. They're just flip-flopping. But at the end of the day, if you're in the position where you don't know what you want to do, pick something at least you hate, but they'll get you money. Because you're going to be at the point where you're eventually going to settle down or you're going to accidentally get a kid. It happens to everyone, bro. It's at some point going to happen. If you have no trajectory in life, people always end up settling down with someone, being a father, and then what are you going to do? You flip-flopped your whole life. You didn't pick one path. Now how are you going to feed your family? It's really dangerous stuff.
Yeah.
You want to wrap up?
Yes, sir. I mean, I pretty much started the wrap up by just giving that summary. Yeah, I mean, I'll go through it real quick one more time just because it was kind of scattered between Matty's rambling. But anyways. So one was find a purpose. Don't try to find your passion first. Find your purpose first, and then your passion. You'll find that your passion might come to you more easily. 2, do as much as you can when you have the most time, so you can get an idea of the things you want to do and you don't want to do. It'll immediately start narrowing your field. 3, anything can become your passion.
Absolutely.
Anything can become your passion. And then 4, finally, don't let finding your passion stop you from fulfilling your responsibilities, because that is not a life that you want to live.
Thank you for that clean summary. You got a good memory, bro. I appreciate it. So, guys, thank you so much for watching or listening to episode 3 of Thoughtful Banter. I appreciate you sticking this long through all the banter. Hopefully it was a little bit thoughtful. Hopefully it was more banter than usual, though. You can support this podcast consistently and receive perks in return at www.patreon.com/thoughtfulbanter. There's a lot of different perks there. I'm sure you'll find interesting things like getting the podcast earlier than you would on YouTube or Spotify. You can also suggest topics for us to cover. There are even some perks that allow you to get a shout out at the end of the podcast. For example, like this: "Hey guys, go follow Matty Films at Instagram," like that, just like that. So,
yikes! Shout out to our one patron, Vishink.
He actually did our art.
He actually did the logo
cool,
for Thoughtful Banter.
That's a cool dude.
His Instagram is the same thing.
Vishink.
VESHINK.
Yeah.
Give him a follow. Really good brother. Shout out to him. Anything else?
I think we're out, bro.
All right. Thank you
Peace
so
out,
much for
guys.
listening. Assalamu alaikum.
You're really religious, bro. Yeah, stop, bro.